Hi, everybody. I'm Terry at Holding Your Space. And this is my friend BC Barton. And she is, what you call it, a shaman.
A
You're a shaman.
shaman. I've been called a Christian shaman. I follow the teachings, the true teachings of Jesus the Christ,
I love that.
and use that presence and connection with Christ's Buddha consciousness to do my work.
Oh, that's so beautiful, BC. So I'm so excited that you're here. And I love, we did an energy session earlier this week, and it was just so beautiful. Let's see who's here. Hi, Annie Bear. Good to see you. And BC, if you click comments on the right hand side, then you'll be able to see people as they come in and start
Oh,
talking and asking questions. So there you go. Um, yeah, so it felt so great. And I love the way that you work with such a soft energy. I feel like it's so different from George. Which I love too. I love too. Yeah, and it just felt like so protected and so held in that light. So it was beautiful, beautiful. Hi, Maruta. Hi, Miss Charlotte. Good to see you. So good. The tribe's coming in. Richie. Hey, Richie. How are you? So this is BC. I am so happy that she's joined us today to give us some presence. So we were kind of talking about what we might talk about today because I foresee this being many meetings and lots of talking and about the presence, being present in our life. So could you expand on that a little bit?
yes. Um, when I say presence, I'm describing presence of true self, high self, and it seems like we're all in the process of doing that, remembering who we are. And it's interesting because when we are born and we take that first breath, we are pure and innocent and sinless, just as God created us. And we come aware in a baby body that's programmed and patterned by genetic lineage unresolved issues. And then we get programmed at preverbal stage with emotional patterns that are mostly unconscious. And then we go to school, we get socialized. A lot of us get programmed with religious ideas and belief systems. So it seems as though what we did when we agreed to come here is agree to forget who we are and then remember again. And so it's really interesting. It feels like there are many people on the planet coming present as who they really are right now. So many. It's just so encouraging. I've been on my path since I was 25, and now I'm 79, and so excited about the awakening. And I don't care if it looks like people are being stinkers all over the planet. It's like what's happening is enough of us are awakening to hold the light and light up the illusions, so to speak. And so that's what I call presence, or each individual process of awakening and being here as who we are.
Okay, I have so many questions about all of this. And if anybody else does, please chime in. I love what you described as that early childhood stage where, without even speaking, probably pre-verbal a lot of times, we are getting those energies and perceiving them. Because I never really thought about that, but it's so true, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah,
And some people remember events that happened while they were still in the womb, even.
yeah.
It's really interesting. So, whatever modality we use to bypass or bring to neutral that old pattern and belief systems about humans as not co-creating their own reality, and humans being less than, and um, everyone has their own path, and they've been directed in their own way to find the way to remember who they are. Anybody who is here is part of that blessed group.
Oh, Annie Bear says, oh, no, I picked the wrong one. Sorry, Maruta. We are here to light it up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
beautiful.
interesting too. George and I, George Sims, who has been on your show too,
Mm-hmm.
we have been doing a planetary awakening meditation on Thursday nights, and we soon went from thinking that we needed to fight the darkness, so to speak, especially in places that are war torn, and making somebody the bad guy, and to blessing all and truly, totally working until we can experience the area, access peace. And, peace is not something that happens when we're not in trouble. Peace is that place inside of us that is the true seat of who we are.
So, when you say that area, do you mean also like all living things in that area?
Yes,
So the not just the humans, but the environment around them as well, and plants,
absolutely.
and
Yes,
that's
right.
so beautiful.
Yes. And really interesting thing that even though nobody will know, I try to pay attention to are things starting to shift. And it was interesting that the Chinese president, we have been working with China in Tibet as well, called Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, and said he wants to be instrumental in supporting resolution of the trauma that's going on right now.
That was pretty impressive.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah. And I think it's because when we travel, I connect with all the beings of light awakening and awakened on the planet, so that consciously or unconsciously, we're all supportive of accessing that peace and that healed reality.
So I read somewhere that it takes like one light worker per what ten
Yeah,
thousand beings, or I don't know what it was, but quite a few. Yeah,
Inter-
and making a difference.
yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Um, uh, so I'm looking at some of my questions here, and can you talk about just what you were talking about there, the energy flows and changing that energy and helping everyone on the planet?
Um, I think the most powerful thing we can do as instruments of healing is to come present and be present as who we really are, and to not buy into all the news that's going on. Learn to see that as um, being staying neutral, not buying into the pain and fear, just noticing at perhaps what is. And I really noticed that during all of the contentious political activity going on for some time now, it's like people were caught up in, still are to a degree, a lot perhaps, in conspiracy theories and telling lies, discrediting somebody who looks like they're doing good or whatever. And,
Right.
it really gets to when you don't buy into it and you can just discern what is there without judging it. Sometimes I've caught myself thinking it was a comedy show on Saturday Night Live or something. listening to all that. But I think that's important. I think it's important not to buy into that negativity. People have lost their sanity over it. I personally know people who were so into that
Hmm.
that they just flipped. And
Yeah. I think we all do. We talk about that here sometimes.
yeah,
Um, in how there's been a real divisive thing going on, not just with the media, but with politicians as well.
and with people buying into separation
Hmm.
and division and us against them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Annie Bear asks, it has been my understanding that shaman work includes being able to retrieve souls, parts of souls. Is that your understanding as well?
Annie, it's something that I notice happens when I'm working. I don't necessarily go, uh, we're retrieving this part of your soul. What I do is focus on the wholeness of that person. And if that is what's up for them, then, and that's what they're ready for as part of their life lesson, then that happens. It's not like I set out to do that as a technique. An interesting thing, I have studied so many approaches and techniques and been instructed by the ascended masters over the years since I was 25 that it's like, I think that what we're all doing is developing our bag of tricks, so to speak, so that when we're working or focusing on something, what comes up is what we have learned. And I've already I've worked with. I just saw him on Friday too, 20 years ago. He was one of my um, clients when I still was working out of my house, and um, he went into spontaneous rebirthing. And
Mm.
because I had studied that and I knew about it, it's like I just followed along and he came out of it.
And then when that happens, are you like deprogrammed, if we can call that programming, as when we're born into this
Yes,
environment?
modality. Whether when I work when I work with um, someone, it's like they each have their own way of um, receiving what they need. Sometimes the process is about letting go and opening. And the way I work is if you're if I'm working remotely or hands-on here in my session room, as we work and the energy connection with source intensifies, my hands are used to gather together from cellular level the patterns of stuff. And I'm asked to transmute it and send it back to God. I better do that. I was collecting something.
Something just popped when you did
Yeah,
that.
there we go.
Oh, I love it, BC. And I love to see your hands and the way that you move energy around because it's like just so beautiful. I love that. It's a very feminine place in a way. It's that it comes from. Would you say that?
Yes, absolutely. I was
Yeah.
just talking with George earlier this morning about the emerging of divine feminine and healing of the masculine by the empowerment of divine feminine. And and when the women's movement first started out, everybody was trying to have like masculine power,
Right. Yeah.
like wearing the clothes and trying to have masculine power. But now it has unfolded to where each one of us, whether we're masculine or feminine, have that ability to trust the intuition and trust that the feminine and trust that we will follow through divine mind, masculine.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
love
now
that.
it's real feminine power.
It is, isn't it? And I so there's so many kids that are coming in right now, BC, and they're they and them, and they seem to embody that combination now already, like at birth,
Yes.
coming in with that being able to attune to their divine masculine and divine feminine self. And it's interesting to see. Do you think that that's a part of us moving into the divine feminine, the age of
I
Aquarius?
do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what can we do to help moving into that age?
We can embrace our own divine feminine because it's like lighting up, being present as who you are, triggers everyone you know. And I think that we can help by not being judgmental about people's choices and ideas for wanting to explore gender identity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. So, we've got a good crowd here, and I wanted you guys. Hi, Viviani. So good to see you. I was thinking I'd really love if everybody wants to uh, the beautiful little ceremony that we did before we started here.
All right.
Would you repeat that, and everybody just get ready because it's a lot of energy
I
coming
would
at you.
love to. And this is for a long time because I doubted my human self and my ability to be a clear channel as a human. I would
Mhm.
always ask for presence of Christ. And I've actually seen Jesus ever since I can remember.
Oh
I
wow!
was a child. So it's like I didn't want to work without, now I call it presence of Christ. And definitely he has embodied presence of Christ. And it's when I work, I am supporting coming present of the person I'm working with as well, their presence of Christ, their divine spark, who they really are. So it kind of goes like this. Just everybody take a few breaths. There you go. And when I say I am, I'm talking to and addressing the I am that we all are. Presence of Christ. In breathing, I experience the ray that I am, sourced in the great central heart of Most High God and grounded through this physical form, through the baby form when we incarnated as spiritual being of light, child of God. And it looks like if you've been in the room when a child is born, it's like a big shift of energy. So it's presence of Christ. Again, experiencing the ray that I am. In breathing, I'm aware of the flow back and forth between where I am sourced and where I am seated into a planet beneath my feet, into the planet. And I'm aware of the flow back and forth between that chakra about 150 feet beneath our feet, and that chakra, which is the seat of our high self, about 150 feet beneath, above our head. Flow back and forth between divine earth self and divine spiritual self. In breathing again, I'm aware that the entire energy field in which we are present individually and collectively is vibrating at the speed of light, which is the speed of love, which is presence of Christ, Buddha consciousness. And breathing again, I'm aware that the outermost surface of this safe and holy place has coalesced to form a golden white mirror of Christ Buddha consciousness. Nothing enters this space which is less than highest and best for all. Nothing leaves this space which is less than highest and best for all. And I give thanks for the opportunity to connect with all of you today. And I give thanks for the many, many myriad legions of teachers and angels who are here with us today. I give thanks, and so it is.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Thank you. That's amazing. Um, wow. Lots of energy coming in.
I love it.
I do too. So, you've worked with a lot of ascended masters and angels. Um, are like, is a lot of this stuff that you've remembered as your programming was lifted?
It started out with I really needed help with a gift of empathy. I had an experience when I was 25, emotional, uh, painful experience that blew my chakras wide open. And I went from good little Christian girl, mother of 3 little boys, to full blown, wide open psychic. And I thought I was possessed for a while. You know, that old Christian fear about all of that. And so,
Sure.
of course, I would have these experiences, full blown, full experience, smell, taste, sight, feeling of everybody, of horrible things. And then I would see it on television. So gradually, after I got after I got over being mad at God, who I thought could have stopped all the pain from happening, it's like it evened out, and I became aware that I was attracting through my gifts those experiences that were heavy and horrible because that's what I was carrying.
Yeah.
So um, one day I was working in a doctor's office in Carrollton, Texas, and my mother had a stroke in Pennsylvania. And I went down with the symptoms. My left side stopped working, and it was right at lunch. So I just went into a dark room and relaxed. And then I got it with my mother, and I could send healing and support. And then I went there was a meditation, a garden room there with flowers and a little fountain. So I go in there and I'm sitting and I'm just praying for some help because I have to there are 4 kids now. And I was a single mom, no child support.
Mm.
And we were doing it, but it was like I couldn't have that gift take me away from what I needed to be doing. I didn't know how. So I'm sitting there and I'm praying and meditating, and my eyes opened, and I was still in meditation. And across the room was this man standing. He had one foot on the ground, the other in the wall in the corner, like this. And he just looked me in the eyes. And he didn't say anything. He just looked me in the eyes and smiled. And I knew it. I was going to get help. So that night, evening, I looked in the paper in the entertainment session, and what was there was an invitation to a psychic demonstration by the most powerful psychic I've ever known, and went to that meeting and was told that the ascended masters had been waiting for me. This was an organization called the Aquarian Foundation that started in New York. No, New York. That's somebody else. Sorry.
Okay.
Seattle. That was somebody else. It started in Seattle. You guys, your energy is so strong. I love it.
So a
Anyway,
lot of readers here and a lot of intuitives.
I know,
Yeah.
I
In
love
the
it. I
group.
love you guys. And so I went to the meeting and um, was told to get with the center leaders that before I left, and I did. So the next day, I went for the meeting, and I had met this wonderful 84-year-old trumpet player who had traveled, she and her twin sister, with Tommy Dorsey. And,
Wow.
I know she was a hoot. And
I can only imagine.
yeah, and so she asked if I wanted tea, and I'm sitting in this chair, and there was a picture on a copy on a end table beside me. And I looked, and there was the guy that I had seen in the corner of the room in meditation. And I said, "Who is that?" And she said, they called him back then Count Saint Germain. He wasn't just
Ah,
called Saint Germain. So I learned to know him as the Count. But that was the beginning with him. And he talked to me, and just an amazing teacher. At one um, meeting, master class that I went to, the classes were taught by the Ascended Masters, channeled through this man. Um, it was one meeting where he was in a trance, and we each went up and held his hand. And as he was holding my hand, I felt something manifest between our hands. And there is no sleeves, no anything. And it was Saint Germain who was talking, you know. And so when I went back to my seat, there was this there was this gold chain with a gold cross.
on your
And
seats?
pardon, it was in my hand. It
Oh my
manifested from
goodness.
him through this medium into my hand. And so, our teachers and angels don't expect us to just swallow everything. You guys know that. Expect us to run everything by our own monitor. And and so on the way home, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And I um, wear it. I go in the bathroom and I look, and it's cold. And I'm going to sleep, and I go, hey, wait a minute. How do I know that this is real? And it was, how do I know that? And so I woke up the next morning, and everything had turned to silver except inside of the clasp on the chain on the necklace.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, our teachers really will um, not just direct us, but work with us, interact with us. And, they really don't expect us to look at them as some high beings. They are, and so are we. Really, we're just in the process of remembering. And I remember an ascended master once saying during a class, if someone has attained mastery, it's because they've made all the choices that you blame yourself for. And that's how they learn.
Right? So that's a good one. Let's talk about that, because I feel like sometimes on our spiritual path that we have a lot of growth opportunities, we'll call it. Things will happen, and people die, or sadness or whatever, and so we have a growth opportunity, something that we can overcome. And a lot of spiritual people go through this, right? Um, so where was I going with that? I'm trying to remember. Sorry, but but having our guides there with us to help us with that. How can we open up while things like this are happening? Um, what? Oh, okay. I know where I was going. I was going with guilt and shame.
Yes.
So guilt and shame is such a big one to get over on this planet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's up on a planetary level right now.
Yes. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that Jesus has said to me as a big brother is that we need to remember that we agreed to come into human form and we make choices and things happen for the purpose of our own learning. And to remember that everything that happens is in our best interest. And I think like losing someone can help us to understand that there really is no death, that the body is biodegradable. But that connection with that person is never ever. You can't sever love. You can't. It's what is there, and it's what connects us with everyone, every soul. We're all connected. Sometimes there are dysfunctional patterns that kind of collect onto the connection between us. But that's um, I, I'm getting that I should talk about Archangel Michael at this point. He
Oh,
has
lovely.
he has said over and over again when I'm working, and has shown me that each of us, as we awaken, we can become aware of a sort of light that is, and it's silver blue. Kind of looks to me like a sparkler, but it's pure energy and it's truth. And he says, before we go to sleep at night, if we will feel his presence like we can right now, and he says, uh, feel his presence, even if you have to make it up. Humans make it up all up anyway, he says. You've got this sort of light, it's tingling in your hand. And his direction is to use this light of truth to cut through all connections. And if you look, you can see there are like gold light connections, just so many everywhere. And some of them might still have like plaque built up to where the true connection is not experienced. So cutting all around 360 degrees, and just feel the dysfunctional part fall away, and the connection is now truly on a spiritual level. Christ, Buddha consciousness, I am self to I am self. It's especially helpful for those of us who are empaths to do that before we go to sleep at night.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, Annie Bear says, I call Metatron uncle and Michael cousin and Starnation cousins.
I love it. Yeah. And
Definitely connected.
cousins. Anyone else? All of them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, from it's really interesting. George's spiritual grounding in a path is Buddhism, and mine is Christianity.
It is beautiful.
I love that, Teresa.
Yeah, it's funny that we tend to forget the reason we look back and cringe at some of our past because we've grown since then. We should be proud of our growth.
Yes.
That's so beautiful, Teresa. That needs to be our new T-shirt. Everybody comes up with these great sayings, and I'm always like, we need to do a T-shirt line so we can remind each other. Yeah, growth opportunities, right?
So everybody, I was starting to say that since I'm working the way I am, which is about 30 years now, I have always worked with, I would see color and associate the teachers and angels with specific color, and then learned later that there are even councils of color with ascended masters and teachers and angels. And now I forgot where I was going. You're too strong, you guys.
Well, you fit right in with us then, because if a butterfly goes by at all, it goes somewhere else.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I love that. So, councils of color.
Yes,
So is that like the different rays?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And And there are some we mostly identify with rays of the rainbow through the color spectrum that, as humans, we mostly see and
Mm,
know and experience. But there are cosmic rays that are in support of those rays that we deal with.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. I've come to associate from the get go the different ascended masters and angels with specific colors. But
Yeah.
it's really been interesting. And I was saying that gold light frequency, I associated with like Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, divine light that we each are. And I think that's because I came from a planet with that prominent light frequency. But since connecting with George, it's like I've come to understand that a lot of the teachers and angels, ascended beings I've been working with, don't come from uh, necessarily Christianity. So there's so many ascended beings that I now realize that I've been working with all the time. I just didn't know their names.
Right? It just opens up, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. The same for me. I'd see different entities as I was growing up, and I'd always associate them with Archangel Michael or
Yeah.
Saint Patrick or Saint Peter, Jesus. And then as I learned about Durga Ma
Yes.
and Shiva and
Yeah.
Tara, yeah,
And Radha
Kali.
Krishna.
Oh yes, yeah.
I
And
love
the fun gets funner.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Annie says, we have someone in our lovely group that has even gifted a purple flame. She wants us to ask, do you know what that means?
Okay. Gifted. Do you mean gifted to someone else or received the purple flame as a gift?
No. Oh, it has been gifted a purple flame.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, I would say that's a very strong and clear connection with Saint Germain. And
Hmm.
Saint Germain is about manifestation under physical reality via spiritual law. He's a teacher of spiritual law and manifestation. So I would say that you are a strong influencer of transmuting energies that are holding yourself and other people back. And also, it's possible that you have a gift for writing as well. He was Will Shakespeare in his last incarnation.
Whoa. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
That I get a big, huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. And purple flame, that's just wonderful. I love that.
That is beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. Um, so I love this that all of a sudden you just walked into a moment in space and time as we see it, and everything was downloaded, all your psychic abilities. Um, that must have been amazing. And they talk about other people that go through this, like Eckhart and not Brene Brown, Katie, I can't remember her name. Anyway, different entities on the planet that have gone through this. Is this what they call Diamond Sutra, or is this like a big?
I don't know. For me, it was um, I was being compelled to stay in my body and not leave. So I don't know. But the experience was I was paralyzed in fetal position, white light and roaring, and just hearing Jesus's voice telling me I had to stay. So for a long time, I really thought that I was a walk-in because I even looked different. I mean, I didn't really even look like I had looked before.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this just desire. I was mad at the church too. Most of us have been mad. So I don't know. Later on, I came to I've come to understand that it was a higher part of my own self coming in and being downloaded. So that,
Oh,
yeah. And if you think about it, that must be true for walk-ins because we really are all one.
wow. So my jaw is going to drop to my knees right now, BC, because that makes perfect sense. Teresa Ford says, I love that. Right? Yeah. Perfect sense. Perfect sense. Hypnicity says that she was told that Shakespeare is an ancestor of hers.
I could believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I have heard recently, and it resonates, although if you know me, I don't just accept something until it really fits in. And I don't talk about it until I know it to be true. I'm getting there about that Saint Germain was the incarnation of Joseph, husband of Mary,
Oh,
and
wow.
was just as important in Jesus's remembering who he was as Mary was, because the Father, you know, recognizes the child as being aware and awake and powerful, and the Father absolutely trusts the heart of the child.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, so I know that they talk about Mary Magdalene and Jesus and how important Mary, the mother, the Divine Mother, and um, Joseph and Mary Magdalene were as Jesus went on in his life, and how they all had their own. Many people say they had their own books in the Bible and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, who's to say that a really interesting thing? I have a client who she does it on her own now, but she didn't trust herself to connect and get information from Jesus for a while. So the last time I worked with her, it's about 2 years ago. She wanted to know, well, Jesus, why did you wait 3 days to go and raise Lazarus from the dead?
It's a great question.
And he said, because I had to know if it was possible.
Wow.
So, he was awakening and checking out his abilities just as we all are. And it really, this year at Easter time, it really came home to me about that's what he did. And I really think that I think this, I don't know, and I'm not telling you guys this is true, but I think that he went on and did have a family with Mary Magdalene.
I've heard this as well, and that he went to the East, and a lot of the Buddhist teachings, or some of them, are also written about him or by him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that Christ consciousness. Hypnicity asks, is Mary Magdalene the alter ego of Mother Mary? She's always wondered and nobody to ask.
I don't think so. Ethnicity. I think that she is the twin flame of Jesus.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant.
And Mother Mary agreed to be the feminine energy in his life, bringing him in.
I love that.
And there's all this stuff about you have to believe that Mary was a virgin, and it just doesn't matter.
Right? It's like it even matters now.
Yeah,
That's such a masculine thing to put on there that somebody did,
no, yeah,
2,000 years later or whatever. Yeah. 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 Oh, good. Here's Lauren, and Lauren's the one that just loves the violet flame in Saint Germain. So you're going to have to go back and watch some more of this, Lauren, because BC's been teaching us up on that. So it's been really nice. Um, um, oh, and Teresa says, yeah, just a way to degrade women. So I also read somewhere that a lot of the women throughout the Bible were priestesses as well, temple priestesses. So, yeah, and that's not anywhere in the Bible, is it?
no. And in Glastonbury, England, the story is that Jesus's uncle was Joseph of Arimathea, and he was a wealthy shipping magnate, and that he went with his uncle to Tintagel, where they were trading tin on Cornwall, coast of England, and that he also went to Glastonbury. And apparently, from different strings, we hear about Jesus studying other means of worship, other paths to remembering who we are, or and he learned about or studied about um, the feminine, let's see, the Celtics who were there at that time worshiped Divine Mother. And I was in Glastonbury and stood in the space where you can still see the outline of a temple that he had erected there in Glastonbury in honor of his mother, in honor of the feminine.
Wow.
And those are stories, but it sure felt like it.
That's beautiful. No, I'm getting a big, huge hit on that
Yeah.
too. That's amazing, the energy on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a story, Teresa, that at the Council of Nicaea in the 1400s, I think that they were still working on making Christianity, Catholicism, a force to conquer the world. But I have been told that they came very close to describing and classifying women as beasts, except they couldn't do it because then they would be guilty of bestiality.
Whoa. That I bet they're all in the Senate reincarnated this year. Yeah, that sounds about right. We've heard about these guys before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about Glastonbury, weren't we? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And how beautiful that space is. Isn't it like the heart chakra of the earth right now? I think
yeah,
that's
it's where the Michael Mary ley lines come together.
yeah, yeah.
That whole
Beautiful.
area is just awesome.
I want to go. I have family in England, but I don't. They live in the middle, and we haven't been there. Okay, so Lauren says she's talking to Annie Bear, but we're going to put it out there.
Yeah.
Every sunrise and sunset for many months, the sky off my back porch is violet. I'm so excited to connect for the connection daily.
That's beautiful. And for those of us who feel connected to the violet flame and to Saint Germain, we can actually ask him questions and he will answer. He will. It's just okay. So, is it okay if I talk a little about what feel to me to be very powerful teachings coming from him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So he talks about planet Earth as a dual polarity reality. He says there's like when we were feeling the flow back and forth from where we're sourced and where we're everything is dual polarity. And he says spiritual law is if you have a question, the answer will come to you. If you have the courage, he says, to ask the question, because once you know, you can't unknow. He says, if you discern, he talks a lot about function of the brow chakra, third eye. And he says, if you discern a problem, the instant you discern the problem, the solution exists simultaneously. He says, even if you just remember that, it'll take you out of the cycle of being stuck in the problem and thinking. He says, just remember, if you discern a problem, the solution exists simultaneously. And if you let go of the problem and open, the solution will come more easily.
So, and that's kind of like awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's us claiming our awareness. I mean, we are interacting in that. And then he also says, well, he talks about brow chakra is not just about seeing, feeling, knowing true. It's about focusing on being an instrument for healing and wholeness in whatever it is you discern. So if you can do that without just discern what is there without judgment, then he says, if you see, know, experience a situation in need of healing, you can remember that dual polarity reality, the healed reality, wholeness exists simultaneously. And he says that you can actually shift from seeing, feeling, knowing the situation in need of healing to accessing the healed reality. And he says you do that by, on purpose, imagining at first probably what it will feel like when that situation is healed. And feel the gratitude is the most important part. I mean, feel it that it's already healed. Whether anything from a wart on your toe to planetary awakening, it is spiritual law. It will manifest. And give thanks, absolute gratitude.
That's so beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Um, and is this from Saint Germain?
Yes.
You're channeling Saint Germain. So, if anybody has any questions, please, this is the time. Teresa says, we need to recall we are part of the answer, and that's why we notice the problem.
Absolutely.
Love it. That's excellent, Teresa. Amen. Hi, Marita. So nice to see you. Um, so I love this. So Saint Germain, so many of us here want to know why we're here and how we can help. So, what advice would you give us?
I think, okay, I believe, I know that we're here to remember who we are and not buy into fear. We're here to hold the light and the peace and the power of presence. And so many things are coming. We need to remember that we really are connected as spirit to every other being on the planet and to all of creation, of course. And when we decide that we are going to hold onto the light and not be caught up in the problem, like one incident recently was when those little children were killed. For me, really, really tugged at me in that Mexican school. I can't remember the name of it.
Yes. Talking about.
It was like so hard not to go into wanting to kick butt. Whoever would do that to children.
Right?
But uh, if we can not think that it's okay that somebody did that, but know that um, everything happens for a reason, and to hold the light in it. We didn't do it. We didn't uh, um, try to make it happen. So what we can do is hold the light. And I remember when 9/11 happened, I had, when I lived in the country in Nevada, people would come longer distances than they do now for sessions with me. So they would come together, and and 6 people showed up for my 11 o'clock appointment rather than two.
Oh,
And it was crazy. It was like it was all still going on. And so we all went into meditation and connected with what was going on. And what we saw beyond the horror was an angel, at least one for every single person who was transitioning, and a realization that this was happening to wake people up.
I
We
love
all saw it.
I love that you see that. So that's something in my as uh, a younger person in my 20s that I used to see a lot of entities as they were leaving and ask for Jesus and Michael and Patrick to come and help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was interesting as well is that we all saw that some of the beings who had were leaving their bodies were trying to help and love and support the perpetrators.
Wow. Well, that's so beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all pretty amazing. We just need to remember that the word I give to Creator is Source, and anything is possible. Anything.
BC, as these entities leave or go back to their real lives, right? And leave this planet. When they've been a part of an atrocity like that, um, do you believe that there's great pain there? Or what does that process look like for them?
The pain and suffering for the dead.
Yeah, for what they've done.
Oh, for who? For the perpetrators?
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure, but I know I think I had an incarnation and died as a young girl during the Holocaust because I can remember. Um, but when I started working, I was teaching a class called Avatar, which supports each person in really experiencing how they're creating their reality and in changing to where they're creating what is supportive of who they really are. Um, okay, I lost it. Tell me where I was.
The avatar and supporting where they really
Oh,
are and who they really are.
yes, yes. And so I was doing a lot of meditating during that time, teaching the course and working with people. And at one point, um, when I was meditating, Hitler approached me in the meditation, and I told him to get out,
Yeah.
get out. You cannot be here. Get out. But he kept coming every time after that, and I would say, get out, until finally he came crawling to me like a little baby with innocent blue eyes and pulled himself up at my knee and looked in my eyes. And I had to remember him and embrace him as the pure, innocent, sinless being God created him to be.
That's beautiful.
I didn't really want to, except I did.
Well, yeah, because a lot of us have people, so many of us have been abused, right, in this group just because I don't know why, but sometimes this happens, especially it seems like for women
Yeah.
on this planet. And so to think about that abuser as they leave, and then to change the narrative is sometimes that's a funny thing to think about and how to do that because you know that we're all divine beings and then how that forgiveness comes but that's a perfect way to look at it as baby.
It is. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's how we all are.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Annie Bear asks if there's, she says, I love Mother Earth, a message from her, perhaps, for all of us.
All right. Me too. I love Mother Earth. She's a real entity.
Hmm.
And in a very real way, she is mother of our human self, of the physical form we inhabit. So I didn't talk about it when we were doing that meditation, coming present into the chakra that is our divine self seated into the planet beneath our feet. But often when I'm working, I'll see like when someone really comes present in that chakra as child of Mother Earth, I'll see like those golden lines, almost like roots I was talking about for the physical form, and
Mm-hmm.
and they are going out to uh, all of the beings who are awakening on the planet, so that we are totally connected at level of Earth awareness as well with those awakening beings of light, and and she is supportive of our remembering that. And even when we meditate, um, kind of viewing the earth and our connection and where we are, and seeing these lights on all over the planet, all over, and connecting with them and receiving support from them. Let's see if she has something to say. She just says she loves us all so much. And she's so happy that mankind has evolved to the level of remembering who they are. And she says, as you remember who you are and walk this earth as the light that you are, every step you take lights up and enables planetary healing and awakening. And she says to tell you that she agreed to be the instrument for supporting dual polarity energy on the planet. And her great joy is in our awakening, each and every one of us, and that she loves each and every one of us as her very own beloved child. So remember, when you walk, you're giving and receiving love.
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you. Hi, Jordan Cockburn. Good to see you. Let's see. Oh, Flowing says something beautiful. Our divine spark needs to shine, bring peace and love to all.
Absolutely.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Um, um, Hi, Melinda. Good to see you here, dear. So we call ourselves a meditation tribe, and we meet at 7:11 Central a.m. in the mornings. And most of us do. We've got a lot of people from the West Coast here too, so they catch it later on. But we do that. We do send a cord down to Mother Earth and one to Father Sky in meditation. And I love the way that you talk about that all of us are divinely connected with that golden cord. Um, what else can we put in there? Jazz her up.
Oh, okay. You can actually connect with all those beings of light.
Oh, okay. And we're working with ley lines also in the light grid when we're doing that. And definitely, um, I've heard you just mention them lightly because we've got a lot of subjects that we're covering already and jumping around a little bit here. But um, so, what do you see them doing? Do you see them changing right now, the ley lines and the grid pattern?
I see them as clearing off and opening up new ones so that when I lived in Mount Ida, we were backed up against the national forest, and we were on the vein of crystals that all the crystal mines are on. And
Wow.
so one night, I was sitting on our deck with my husband at dusk, and we're just talking. And I'm seeing, all of a sudden, I'm seeing two ships. One was just not too far above the mountain range as I was watching, and the other one was way up and was bigger. And it was like the one closer to the mountaintop was drawing up, and I could feel the energy. It was chaotic and disharmonious, and just that. And you guys are feeling it. That's
Mhm.
a lot of what we have still on planet Earth. Anyway, the smaller one was drawing it up and then consolidating it and projecting it up to the one that was higher. And the one that was higher and was working with the flower of light, magenta flower of light. And it was liquid and fluid and incredibly powerful. And it was taking all that stuff and then bringing it to absolute peace and harmony and projecting it back down through the crystal, um, the the other the
Ley
other
line?
the other ship
Oh,
down
the
to
Misha.
the planet, and then move over a little ways and do the same thing. I think that's what we do too, some of us.
Wow.
And I think that that most of us in this group are connected with the Galactic Brotherhood,
Oh, yeah.
and uh, yeah, and we are supported. They're just as much teachers for us as beings who have incarnated on in this planetary energy. But I think that's what we can do.
Annie Bear says, wait, hold the phone. Magenta like garnet.
Magenta like a beautiful pure ruby, like that
Wow.
purple pink. And that's also the frequency of divine feminine carried by Lady Nada, who is Saint Germain's twin flame.
Lady Nada. How do you spell that? Nada?
NADA, yes.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and
Love
it's
that.
divine feminine bringing into healed reality.
Annie Bear asks, is there a garnet light?
I think so, Annie. I think it is. I've just been feeling it lately. It's like divine will, power, and dominion coming to us from within the earth. It's like a support in claiming our divine will, power, and dominion as spiritual beings of light, child of God. And it reminds me a lot of dragon power energy, power animal energy.
Yeah.
At least that's how I see it. And it's been really interesting that for a while now, instead of just thinking of a council of light or a teacher angel within a council of light holding only one, it's like each one works with all the color frequencies. They're just influenced by the particular energy that they carry. Yes, we're connected.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yes.
So is that what they call the rainbow body then?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I I I think that I think that they say that the human body and the human cell, the human structure, is the very closest to the mineral kingdom quartz crystal. And I think that gradually we get to where we are receiving and transmitting, each in our own way, all of the colors of the spectrum and the cosmic dimension as well. So I don't know. And often when I'm working with someone with healing, more recently, we will go to a healing temple that we remember on Atlantis and go up the steps, and there's this crystal slab, like a bed, that is warm, and the person lies on it and then becomes aware of the pyramid of crystal, rainbow energy, and just receive from all. So I think that in a very real way that the rainbow body manifests as a result of yielding, receiving those energies, and trusting that we're going to know how to work with them. And I think that there really is importance on healing of the human body. And I think that a lot of what is going on, still talking about rainbow body, I think a lot of what is going on is about the body itself, and the cells in the body opening to be able to carry more light so that we can actually be present as who we are in this physical form that's been programmed and patterned with genetic lineage stuff.
So that genetic linkage of the soul too, right?
Yes. So it can be, a lineage coming from Christianity, from Buddhism, from Islam, from any other faith that has brought truth and understanding to the planet.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's see. Annie Bear asked about Lemuria.
Okay, here's my take, Annie Bear. Because I remember, I remember beaming down from a space that seems like it was located around or on the planet Venus, with the temples and everything there, practicing becoming gold light and beaming down into planet Earth and taking on physical matter under direction of the Creator to form humans to function in this dual polarity reality. And it was known from the beginning that there was going to come a split, because for some reason, I don't want to go into that right now. I'll forget where I am.
Okay. Either way looks really good.
Yeah, but the split, Atlantis and Lemuria were one. And then they separated, masculine and feminine. And Atlantis became the masculine energy, and Lemuria became feminine. And it is said, and I think it's true, that the contention between them is what caused the cataclysms. So it's not one was better than the other, but perhaps part of the plan to bring about separation so that as a planet we can come back and remember who we are as one again.
So then are we on different timelines? Would that be like dual timelines? How they separated? Like because they say we're going through the masculine, the end of the patriarchy, the end of the masculine, and going into the divine feminine era, and consequently, those that went off in the other area would be going into the divine masculine. So, is that like?
I think it's about merging again.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that separation between divine feminine and divine masculine was, I think it was scheduled to be that way. because, you know, we've been in a patriarchy for all of this time, for a very long time. And the awakening of divine feminine is what will birth and bring forth the divine masculine, not the separated,
Yeah.
rational thinking data as separate from intuition and inner knowing. I think it's about integration within each one of us between mind and heart.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. Um, because I feel like, well, and this brings us full circle as we were talking earlier about the children that are being born and how they like to, a lot of them are just not really recognizing that, him, her, they, um, them instead, and kind of very fluid, you know, in their sexuality and how they present themselves and, um, how they look at society is completely different, isn't it? Than
It really is. I
yeah.
think that the children coming now in general, um, it is said that before the cataclysms happened, that took down Atlantis and Lemuria, um, the there was an intended process of some of the people who knew what was coming, um, working to bring in enlightened souls who would carry the information without the taint of the old programming. And
Oh,
that I think has been handed down. And I see it in the children being born today too. It's just amazing. My great granddaughter, when she was 4, came and informed her mom that there was a ghost in her room. Where she ever got that? And her mom said, "Well, sweetie, ghosts are not real." And she said, "Mama, ghosts are everywhere." Without fear.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
so true. So open. I love
I
that.
know that the children are that way.
Yeah,
I think that's so important that enough of us who have awakened and are awakening are able to influence children and teach them that they are loved and love is a power, and just to know that they are totally, completely loved. A lot of us didn't have that.
right.
And it's just
Yeah,
beautiful the difference it's making.
yeah. And everything was judged, wasn't it? And that shame, that guilt, that
Yeah,
um,
that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and you know, probably a lot of us on the call today have been brought up in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. It's guilt and shame. And uh, my grandson, when he was 4, his parents were going through a terrible divorce. And they were, his mom and his sister and he were staying at my house. And the morning after Christmas, I got up and I was meditating on the sofa, and he came out and sat beside me, and he was so down, so sad. I didn't say anything. I just sat there with him, and then he looked at the on the fireplace ledge. There was a crib, a creche, and he
Mm-hmm.
said, "Grammys, is that baby Jesus?" And I said, "Well, that represents baby Jesus' birth, and we're celebrating his birthday." So he said, "Grammys, baby Jesus was killed for my sins." And he just sobbed. He just sobbed. I mean, little kids. And so I was glad he said that, because I could say, "Well, who told you that?" He said, "Grandma Shirley, his other grandmother." And I said, "Well, she loves you so much." And she did. But she didn't tell you the whole story. So then I did. I was able to tell him about Jesus coming for a mission from God, and that he had one too.
Oh,
But I think that it's really important for each of us to realize, even if we don't even know the child, but connect with the spirit that they are. It's like we can help to ground. that spirit that they are.
Yeah.
Because they're going to do great things.
They are. I love this new generation, the kids that are being born into it.
Yeah.
Teresa Ford was asking, this is when we were talking about divine female and divine male energies coming in and the end of duality and reintegration. So I think she's talking about that veil thinning.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to answer it in the way that I thought you were asking.
Okay.
And, um, it's hard for us to think with our educated minds and our human selves about how will that happen? Will people all of a sudden start being kind? And, but I just think this is going to sound kind of vague, but it's about as each one of us learns to love and let go of guilt and shame, love our human self, and surrender to our high self. It's about surrender. It's not something that we can do actually. I know that sounds vague, um, but I think that's what's up and what's going on.
We talk about that a lot in our tribe and
Oh,
in
good.
meetings about surrender because I think you're right. And surrender is a hard thing to describe, isn't it?
It
Just
is.
my
And I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say my favorite way of surrendering is just floating, and that's what I see that I've done in many lifetimes, in the ocean, in a hot tub, in a pool, in a lake, in the universe, just
Right.
letting go and floating.
And that's about healing issues of trust, being able to just surrender.
That's huge. I'm going to write that down. That's another T-shirt moment there. BC. Healing issues of trust.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And then we've got a couple other ones, and we're 122:22 right now.
All right.
So I don't want to wear you out. Um, let's see. Okay. Lauren says, I have heard that we are becoming celestial beings on earth. The higher realm is making our mortal body have the 100% divine pure light within many on earth.
Yes, I believe that too, Lauren. I do. And I think that we are celestial beings as we awaken and fully embody the body, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely.
I've heard this, I have heard that um, thinking about the ascension, I have heard that Jesus was able to vibrate every cell in his body at the speed of love. And that's, I think for me has resonated about, how I would like to experience and express myself.
The speed of love. Okay, that's another T-shirt. Um, is the speed of love faster than the speed of light?
It's the same.
The same. Okay.
And it's the same. The speed of love is the same as the presence of Christ, Buddha consciousness, of our very own essence of who we are.
Wow. Okay, we're going to wear you out here, so we won't go too much farther. But Hypnicity was saying it sounds like the Hopi prophecy.
I agree.
I can't remember where we were at then, but uh, I can't remember where we were. I'm sorry, Hypnicity, because this is a while back.
We were talking about being able to, being an instrument of love to the degree that we are actually able to vibrate every cell in our body at the speed of love,
That's right.
which is the speed
Yeah.
of light, which is speed of presence of who we really are.
Pure bliss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And somebody asked earlier, what do I think we're here to do? And I think that we're here to be happy, to access happiness and not get caught up in the guilt. That's a that's a big challenge, I know. And I think that's why we're here. Because when we can radiate that, we're touching everybody and everything with that frequency, which is bliss, I think.
I think so too. And I think I agree with you so much there because I feel like sometimes our job is just to smile at somebody and change their life because we don't know what they're going through. And
Yeah,
when a light worker, when your vibration gets close to somebody, it changes their vibration, doesn't it?
it does. And I have an idea that the most powerful form of healing we can be an instrument for is being present as who we are and looking into the eyes of another and seeing who they are. I just think that that sparks the experience of who they really are. And they never forget that, even if they don't necessarily believe it for a very long time.
Yeah, that's so true. Namaste, right?
Yeah.
The light in me sees the light in you. Yeah. Wow, that's so powerful. Well, thank you so much. It's
Lauren,
almost at an hour and a half here. So
okay. I,
I don't want to wear you down. Is there anything else that you want us to know
well,
before
I'd
we
like to
begin?
respond to Lauren.
Oh, okay.
Um, she says,
Let's
I can
see.
see it in my two great granddaughters. They have come with an energy Mother Gaia needs. Humanity will never be the same, finally. Totally, totally agree.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Um, and False Teacher Tarot says, like tuning forks.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lovely way to walk the earth, Lauren says.
Yes.
And Teresa says, our heart chakra goes out 75 feet each way. And we work a lot with that, growing your heart chakra.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you guys are great. It's just
Oh,
a joy connecting with you.
well, we have learned so much here today. So I hope you'll come back, BC.
I would love to.
Okay. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you for a private session, a healing session,
Okay.
um, would that be through your
Through either texting on my phone number or my email would work.
okay. I will post email and comments, everybody.
All right.
So I think it's just bcbarton at gmail.com, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. All
All lowercase.
lowercase. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it right here, right now. And that way everybody will
BC
have it.
Barton 9. It's bcbarton9 at gmail.com.
Oh, okay. Um, and did you have anything else you wanted to give us, or have we worn you out?
No, just that I feel the connection with all of you, and I've loved being here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. There we go. Got it. Okay. 4. All right. Well, thank you, ma'am. If you want to stay on for a moment, I'll say goodbye to everybody here. So goodbye, lovely entities of light. We will see you tomorrow. George will be here. And I think he'll be here at 11:30 tomorrow. So, and sooner or later, we're going to try to get George and BC on at the same time and make sure we don't blow off the planet with all the energy going on. All right. Namaste, everybody.